From Relay, this is Connected, episode number 522, recorded October 9th, 2024. I am your guest host, Upgrade Draft Challenger Jason Snell, and I'd like to introduce the Ricky Benchman and Upgrade Draft Champion and co-founder Challenge Champion and champion in his own mind, Mr. Myke Hurley.
Look at that. I mean, I like these extra accolades now that we have Jason. Hello, Jason. It's a treasure to have you on this episode of Connected.
And this is a Steven started episode, so I got to go first. But our sponsors this week, by the way, are NetSuite, Ecamm, and Celtrios.
You nailed it in one.
All right.
I am the Ricky Benchman and Upgrade Draft Champion and Relay co-founder Challenge Champion Myke Hurley, and I would like to introduce Mr. Vitici. Hello, Federico.
Hello. I gotta say, I think I like the new guy better than Steven because he gave us the
Strong
date.
start.
Gave us the date, which was a useful bit of information. You know?
Yeah. See, this is funny because I started doing the day on Upgrade, and Jason protested initially. But I feel like now that maybe Jason has taken the day on as a part.
I don't know.
Good for him.
Well, we now know that there are people who listen to old episodes and they get out of sync and all of that. So it's kind of good to remind them that it was October 2024 when these people said these things.
I started doing the date when we had that episode of Upgrade where we recorded in advance and then Apple announced all of the availability information for the Vision Pro.
Oh, right. After we recorded.
After we recorded. So then I was like, okay, I want to start putting the date on these episodes.
So I feel like I need to set the mood properly so that Jason feels right at home on Connected.
Yep.
Jason, what is your darkest computer-related secret?
Darkest computer-related secret.
Yeah.
Well, what I want to say is that I play all my iPad games with the sound off.
No.
But for people, that would be for getconnectedpro.co. For that, darkest computer-related secret.
This is a safe space. We're not judging you.
The problem, Federico, is that I consume all of my dark secrets and release them on the internet for content. So I'm not sure there's anything left. I used to keep things scattered on my desktop, but my desktop, Mac desktop is organized now.
Okay.
Let me see if I got one for
used-
you. Maybe like, what is the most expensive piece of hardware that you've used for a short period of time and is now just on a shelf where really
you really want him to say Vision Pro, huh?
Oh, no. We're going to talk about that later. An older thing. Like, I will go with mine. I have a M1 iMac that I've just put in a box and put in the corner. And like, I'm never going to get rid of it or anything. That thing's just sitting there. I used it for not even a year, I think. And then now it just got put away.
Yeah, okay. I've got a lot of camera related stuff. Like I bought a whole teleprompter rig that I've literally never used for me to do videos with a script on a teleprompter. I've not used that at all. There's probably a bunch of other stuff like that where there's like I bought mounts for like putting cameras on the wall or the ceiling or whatever, and then I look at it and I say to myself, nah. I just continue to collect all that garbage. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I have some follow-up. The first piece comes from Randall, who says, regarding the app icons disappearing bug that Myke mentioned. Do you remember my Photos app kept disappearing?
Yes.
Randall said, I've noticed that if I use Spotlight to add an app to a home screen, it disappears from the home screen. However, if I drag it from the app library, it remains. And this is exactly the case for me. So now it stays where it's supposed to.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Something just dawned on me.
Okay.
But it's a bit of a stretch. Do you happen to have any hidden home screen pages?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder, because this is something I noticed that probably changed in iOS 18. If like those icons are not actually disappearing, they're moving to a page that it's not visible. Because sometimes when you drag an icon from Spotlight, it's like actually moving an existing icon that's pre-existing on a different page. I kind of would ask you to check your hidden pages and see if anything has changed.
It doesn't
there.
look like it. I am looking right now.
Then it's a bug. Then it's
but it
just
could be a
bug.
bug that's related for people who do that, right? Who have like hidden home screen pages.
Maybe.
This just in, turns out I have 3 hidden home screen pages that I didn't know were there.
Yeah, that's good.
That's great. I mean, if they're never visible,
they're hidden. If a home screen is hidden,
are they there? Does it matter if they're never
even know?
visible?
Something like that. Peter says, a big grazie to Federico. Teachy Tabs has become my favorite app of the year. I don't have the same needs as Federico. I downloaded the app mostly for the japes, but I ended up finding use for it that fits perfectly in my workflow. I am an avid language learner, and humble brag, and I used to always have the same online dictionaries open in Safari. Now they can all live in Teachy Tabs, and I can access them quickly from the widget on my home screen.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Changing
Perfectly
lives.
valid use case, yeah.
Jason, do you have 6 or 7 websites? Do you have a collection of 6 or 7 websites?
I used to. I used to have my. I'm a big. What do they call it? Do they call it the favorites bar?
Favy bar? I don't know.
The favorites bar.
Favy bar.
I'm a big favorites bar user.
It's not a Favy bar. Where does this name come from, Mike?
Because it's favicons, right?
It's never been used. A Favy bar. It's never been used. Okay.
It's me, Favy bar.
We could do it now, though. I mean, we could start it.
Yeah.
We could start the Favy bar movement.
The Favy bar.
Right here. So I'm a big Favy bar user. That's what I was saying. and this is. It used to be full of web pages. But mostly now it's like bookmarklets and stuff. I've got a little like folder full of all the CMSs, and you go to the Incomparable or Six Colors or Relay or whatever. I've got a big folder full of those that are in the Favy bar.
Nice. Okay, we're using it. All right, cool.
But most of my stuff, and then there's pin tabs. I have pin tabs now for Six Colors, the Incomparable, and my weather page, my weather station page. But all the stuff that used to be the regular daily visits, like the 6 or 7 websites, a couple years ago, I decided to go back to RSS. I actually use ReadKit, which every 6 months, I think, surely there's another RSS reader that I would prefer to this, and I try them all again, and the answer is no. I still really like ReadKit. And I'm using ReadKit for RSS as well as for all my newsletters, because I use Feedbin. So all of my newsletters are getting forwarded to Feedbin. And then in the morning when I wake up and I get my breakfast and all that, I use ReadKit to read my 6 or 7 websites and my 6 or 7 newsletters. So that's what I'm doing now.
It's always so fun when like someone mentions the name of an app and my mind is like, I've never heard of this app before in my life. No, I'm sure I have.
I heard about it from Mac Stories. That's where I heard
We've got a quote here. Federico Vitici from Mac Stories. If you use Feed Wrangler and have been looking for a desktop client, ReadKit is your best option.
Well, that's from many years ago.
Many years ago, because I'm not sure Feed Wrangler still exists anymore.
That's a quote for the ages. Okay, sure.
Look, this is what it's like, Federico. You do a website for a long time, and then people are like, "Oh, you wrote this." I get that occasionally. It's like, "Jason, you wrote this. Do you have an update on this?" And I look at the story, and I'm like, "I have no memory of this."
Yeah, so the best one is like when you get a random email from somebody being like, "Hey, do you still use ReadKit?" And like the last time I reviewed it was like in 2011.
What does that mean? Like, I haven't heard this name in a long time.
In a long time. No, send them to me. I use ReadKit, and again, I get really excited. I haven't tried, some of the latest and greatest, but then I try them and I think, I like the typography better, or I like it's got smart folders, and I use that sometimes. But mostly, whatever reason, and remember, I'm reading on an iPad, a 13-inch iPad, right? Like it's the one that fits the best. Even though the great thing about using Feedbin is that I could just go to any reader if I wanted to, but I'm still pretty happy with it. The one an Apple Intelligence feature I would like at some point, which they're never going to do, but I would really like the ability to take the articles that are in my feed reader and write new headlines that tell me what the actual article is instead of the bogus web headline that obscures the meaning so that I will click.
A summary, right? So like an RSS
a summary
that uses, hopefully, who knows, but hopefully, in probably iOS 19, developers will be able to use that. That would be nice. Good, right? That like instead of similar to the email, instead of the first few lines of the article, tell me what the article is actually about.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Right?
Federico, I'm sorry, but Threads knows it has an engagement problem, and they're taking care of it, so you can say goodbye to all of your likes.
Damn it, Adam! Come on, why?
Just when he's cracked it.
Why? I was doing so well with my bait. Why?
We've seen an increase in engagement bait on Threads, and we're working to get it under control, says Adam Mosseri. He got you, man. He knew you were the last straw.
Look, all I wanted was to make Apple people upset with my hot takes, and they're taking those away from me now.
No more hot takes.
All right.
There was also a note in our document that Stephen left that said, check on Bet. Myke said no Google Pixel 9 comes with a thermometer. So this was something I said when the Pixel 8 came out because it had a thermometer in it, which could only measure the temperature of objects. And I think what I was saying is like every single year, Google seemed to add a feature that they then remove the next year because it doesn't go anywhere. Turns out they kept it. Not only does the Pixel 9 have it, you can now measure the heat of a person. So good work, Google.
Man. Remember Steven?
No.
Those are good times.
Yeah. It was that guy.
So you can find out if you're HOTTOGO by taking a temperature.
From GOOGLE. You know?
HOTTOGOOGLE.
Yeah, if Chapel Roan's looking for get that bag, she could just get Google to call.
Super catchy. Super catchy.
Federico, are you a fan of Chapel Roan?
I have no idea what it is.
So she's like the hot music act of the time.
Oh yeah.
You would like if you don't know Hot to Go, like that song, you would like that song a lot.
I only know the one song.
Okay.
Good Luck Babe.
Good Luck Babe. Yes,
that's
the one I know.
Hot to Go is real good.
Hot to Go. I'm going to tell this story now really fast, which is there's a running back for the Cal Bears named Jaden Ott, OTT, and Cal Twitter, for people who don't know, the Calgorithm, as they're called, of my fellow Cal fans.
Okay, so
really
this
great
is fun.
meme.
I've been getting
game.
lots of questions, Snell Talk questions about the Cal Twitter account that I don't really want to get into. So now you can do it. So that's good.
All the Cal burners, they're just like, they're doing memes. The meme game is huge, and people are discovering Cal because they're in a new conference and they realize that guess what? Kids who go to Berkeley are smart and funny. But they not only did they write parody lyrics for Hot to Go, but they hired a singer, a real singer. It's not an AI version of the song. They hired a singer named Mickey, I think, from Sweden, who they found on some website where you can hire talent, right, to do like freelance work. And they made Ought to Go for Jaden Ott. We got OTTTOGO. We've got Jaden Ought to Go, and then somebody else in the Cal Twitter community made a music video of Ought to Go, and that was like early in the week. And by the time Saturday rolled around and the premier college football TV show, ESPN College Game Day, came to Berkeley for the very first time in like 20 years, they've never been to Berkeley, one of the few schools not to have ever been visited. And by the time they got there, the hosts started out by talking about Ought to Go. So like super meme game, just so great. And as a Cal fan of long standing, I was really proud of it. But also as an old person, I was excited that I actually got the reference to Chapel Rowan. So yeah, Ought to Go.
This episode is brought to you by NetSuite. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts, you'll get 10 different answers. Some will say that rates will rise, some will say that rates will fall, others might say inflation is up or down, or who knows. The only way business owners can know for sure is if someone was to invent a crystal ball. Until then, over 40,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control that you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. As a business owner myself, I love the idea of having one source of truth for all of the data. It can be so hard to keep on track of all of the different data streams that you need to be checking different systems, different everything. You don't want to have to deal with that. You want to be able to go to one place and get everything you need. Whether your company is earning millions or even hundreds of millions, I hope they are for you, no matter what you're doing.
Billions even.
NetSuite helps you respond to immediate challenges and seize your biggest opportunities. Speaking of opportunity, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/connected. This guide is free to you at netsuite.com/connected. That's netsuite.com/connected. Our thanks to NetSuite for their support of this show and Relay. So, wild story that's happening right now. It appears multiple now, because me and Jason spoke about this a little bit on Upgrade on Monday, but by the time we're recording on Wednesday, there are now multiple models of the new base level 14-inch MacBook Pro out in the world. There have been a couple of different YouTubers that have made videos of these. They're both based in Russia, and there are reports and screenshots of around 200 14-inch MacBook Pros that are, as of yet, unreleased, available online. I believe this is real. I've seen some people saying things like the packaging is old. I think the packaging probably maybe isn't 100% complete and like there's some weirdness going on here. But I believe that the computers themselves are real and there seems to be some kind of leak from China to Russia. And this is something that Jason was saying. Well, Apple doesn't sell in Russia, so it makes sense that there might be some kind of flow. But these ones, they've gotten out maybe a little earlier than they would otherwise.
Somebody found a pallet somewhere. Also, they're the low-end M4 versions, so they're probably the ones that they made in advance, because I assume they've got lots of M4s because they have the iPad Pro, but they maybe aren't yet. All the stories suggest that the M4 Pro versions of all of these products might be available in limited quantity or a little later. So, right, that part of what that probably is, you start producing the M4 ones earlier. And so, I think this is true. When there was a pallet or a box or however that just got scooped up by somebody and lost in transit and taken to Russia and resold.
Well, I was also wondering if this might be like a result of Apple trying to ship more stuff on boats, like that maybe if they could get some stuff shipped out sooner, maybe they would do that. Like, I know that's the thing that they've spoken about.
Also, how about this? How about the idea that this only is news because it's a new product that hasn't been announced yet? But I wonder how often this happens with existing products where literally, since they're not available in Russia, they just make some of them disappear from a warehouse in China and take them to Russia. I'm not saying Apple, I'm saying like crime. The crime is like, get me some Apple products that I can resell in Russia because they're not sold there anymore, and that they just happen to snag a product that doesn't exist yet.
So this made me think of like, so I've been seeing a lot of people say like this is maybe the biggest kind of product leak as such, or like early release or whatever you might want to call it, since the iPhone 4, because things don't really get out. I mean, and of course, this is absolutely in no world as monumental as the iPhone 4, but I thought that it might be fun today to remember back to the iPhone 4. And Jason, I had some questions I wanted to ask you about specifically of this, but I want to start by giving a timeline of how the iPhone 4 leak went down. So we go back to March of 2010. An engineer at Apple named Gray Powell, which is a name just like seared into my memory at this point, accidentally left a prototype of their iPhone 4 in a bar in Redwood City, California. The phone was disguised with like a case to look like a 3GS, right? Yeah. So they put like a big case on it. In April of 2010, the lost iPhone prototype was found by a bar patron who realized it was something special after seeing features like the new front-facing camera. I think also the Retina display it had. Maybe they could tell that out. I don't know. But in April, they sold it to Gizmodo for $5,000. On April 19th, 2010, Gizmodo published an article that detailed the iPhone 4's design, its features. They had pictures, they had videos. And this was obviously the first time that anybody had seen it. It had a brand new design, right? So we'd gone from like the rounded phones. This was like glass front and back with the stainless steel in the middle.
It's like what an iPhone looks like now.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm happy that this article is still on the Gizmodo website, even though it's like a little janky. It is still there. Yeah. And I found that, put it in the show notes. On April 20th, the next day, Apple sent Gizmodo a formal request for the return of the device, saying it was stolen property, and Gizmodo complied and returned it. Then on the 23rd, so an authority body. They had like a strange name that I don't remember now, and I didn't look it up, but it wasn't like the police. It was like some other police, like Silicon Valley Police or something. It had a name like that.
Is there a Silicon Valley Police?
I'm going to check this because it was weird.
This is like the Favi bar. Okay.
It's like the Favi bar of police.
Right,
prompted.
right.
Okay.
So Apple arranged this and sent them to the home of Jason Chen, the editor of Gizmodo. They raided his home, confiscated his computers and other equipment as part of an investigation into the incident. On May 16th, there was an email exchange between Steve Jobs and Chen that was published. I want to read a quote, which I love this for what it is, but it's still like, it's a vibe of a time. Steve Jobs, we're just doing what we can to try and make and preserve the user experience we envision. You can disagree with us, but our motives are pure. By the way, what have you done that's so great? Do you just criticize others' work and belittle their motivations? I love how he just like turns a sharp corner.
Yeah, this was the energy of those Steve Jobs email threads at the time.
Yeah, this is for sure. By the way, I've got the Favi Bar of Police is REACT. It's a very clever acronym. Rapid Enforcement Allied Computer Team.
See, I knew it was like a weird thing.
React. like the coding language.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a backronym.
Silicon Valley Police.
If Stephen were here, he would know. Like the space world is full of backronyms where somebody's like, "Oh, we got to create a name for this space probe," and they get close and they just come up with a word and then they insert sort of dumb words in to make it work. So REACT, California Task Force Commission to investigate high-tech crimes, and Apple had a member on the steering committee of the REACT.
So that's how you get your friends, Silicon Valley Police, to go raid someone. And then in June of 2010, Apple announced the iPhone 4. And then in July of 2011, the next year, this REACT police investigation concluded without any charges being filed against Gizmodo or the individuals involved in selling the device. This was bananas. I remember my first feeling about the iPhone 4 was that I thought it looked bad. I was like, that can't be real. It's ugly, was my initial thought. But that was just, I think that's the way a lot of these leaks go. You see a device and you're like, that doesn't look good. And then when you see Apple's photos, you're like, oh yeah, it does look good.
No, I remember thinking that it looked great and very futuristic.
I didn't like it.
I also remember the exact moment when I saw the Gizmodo article appear on Twitter. Because like at the time, 2010, I just started Mac Stories. I spent, I don't even know how many hours. I basically had Twitter always open, always timeline streaming enabled.
Yeah.
I think Tweety for Mac was around at the time. But yeah, I remember this thing popping in and basically me going like, what? It was a crazy story. It was like the talk for a couple of weeks. And especially after, like, with all the back and forth, with Steve Jobs getting involved. And also, like, it wasn't WWDC, but it was a late June event because Apple used to announce iPhones in June. And I remember Steve Jobs sort of joking on stage, being like, stop me if you've seen this before, but believe me, you haven't really seen it. And, like, everybody sort of... And, Jason, you were probably in the audience, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. Man, what a time.
So was it not WWDC then? Did I get that part wrong? Maybe I just conflated.
I think maybe it was.
Was it WWDC?
Okay.
I mean, all the dates that we hold as sacred now were not like that back then. So.
Like they didn't really have specific iPhone events then, right? Like I don't think it was. We were at that time, and June would have been a weird time to announce the phone.
June WWDC San Francisco. Yeah, that's when it was.
Nice.
For sure.
Jason, what do you remember of this?
I remember very clearly. I was at. And this is how I can tell that I have a clear memory of this, is it's all about location. So I was at a softball game, one of Jamie's softball games. I remember what park it was. Like, I literally remember that particular park in Terra Linda that we took her to. And I saw this thing on Twitter, presumably on my iPhone 3GS, I guess, right? Like, I mean, process of elimination, it must have been. And I remember not believing it and then scrolling through the article and thinking, oh, no, this has got to be real. This has got to be it. Because it felt very Johnny Ive to me. It felt very much like, he was picking up kind of brawn bronze shaver kind of design cues with the flat metal sides and all of that. And I felt like, oh yeah, this seems like it's a real thing. And it was.
What was your role at Macworld at the time? Were you editor-in-chief then?
I think I was editor-in-chief, yeah.
Did you have any, or like, do you have any kind of thoughts that as the editor-in-chief of Macworld, like, would you have covered this?
Well, I would say that our game was not this game, right? We did not consider ourselves the, breaker of rumors and stuff. And so, I mean, I'm sure we had a debate, which is, do we cover the fact that it leaked?
Yeah.
And I'm sure we did that in some form on the web. But like if I had been at a news source that was really trying to break news, which Macworld was not its kind of bit, it would have been a different story, I suppose. But like it was not really our bag. So it was more, and that was always the dynamic. Like back in the early days when there was Mac Week as well as Macworld and Mac User, Mac Week was the one that did that stuff, right? They were the ones who broke news about unannounced products. And so they would have been the ones to do it. And the Macworld and Mac User were sort of like, well, we're monthly and we're kind of like we're not trying to break news. We don't fancy ourselves a newspaper. We're a different kind of thing. And so I'd say culturally that was still going on even when I was there.
I'm convinced that Federico Viticci 2010 would have, given the opportunity, would have wanted to break this news. You were so early, right?
I will disagree because because I had been burned before. I think I've told this story on the show before. In my first year of Mac Stories, I was really basically throwing everything at the wall and seeing what was sticking, right? And one of the things that I was doing was like completely disregarding the NDA regarding betas. macOS 10 betas and screenshots.
Yeah.
And so I used to have articles with like detail. And mind you, like this was very different, right? There were no public betas. It was a developer beta. There was an NDA screen that popped up. But like I didn't care. I was posting screenshots, having roundups, whatever. Until one day I noticed, well, why aren't the images on this article about the latest macOS 10 beta working anymore? And so basically, my hosting provider had gotten an email, like a takedown request from Apple.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got myself a nice letter from Apple's lawyers at the time, and that scared me for life.
Okay, that's fair.
And so, yeah, they lawyered the screenshots out of me. So that's why we don't do those kinds of reporting anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's so
that was enough.
Funny to remember that they used to do that, right? That like the beta was NDA'd because then everybody would post screenshots and be like, somebody sent these to us. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever you say.
Yeah, it got to the point where, I mean, as it usually happens with this, where somebody who had the ability to post it and not get a takedown for whatever reason posted them, and then somebody else did it.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges about what Gizmodo did was they were really argumentative about it, I think because they were scared, but they were also kind of like trying to find a way to say, no, we're going to do this. But like you could have the thing and take pictures of it and write a report of it without, one, buying stolen property, and two, refusing to give it back to Apple, right? They went down a whole bunch of paths here that were kind of a lot. But Apple to this day says like, oh, well, the public beta is coming out and we're going to give you a briefing and we're going to talk about what's in the public beta. And keep in mind, everybody's already seen it at WWDC, but they're like, we want this to go out when the public beta goes out. And like, it's weird because it doesn't really need to be that way, but there is some aspect of it that is, but if you're playing ball with Apple and they're going to give you a briefing and they're going to, they're going to talk to you about it and they're going to answer your questions, and they'd rather those stories be embargoed until the public beta comes out, and you say, all right, like, okay, all right, in that case, I'll do it. But that's all that's left, right? I mean, they know they used to stop us from live blogging events. They literally would say no live blogging. And at some point, it just got it was so porous that there's no way that they could do that anymore, and they gave up. That's how it always ends up happening, is that they try to hold back the flood, but the dam bursts. Like they can't hold it back, and then they finally reluctantly give up. And the reason that Steve Jobs yelled at everybody to turn off their hotspots that one time,
yes, yeah,
is because Apple, in an attempt to clamp down on information spreading about their event, which is Like, why? Why would you say, no, we don't want anybody to hear about this until later? They did not provide Wi-Fi at events. Even at events where there was Wi-Fi available, they would just turn it off. They did not want people to have access to Wi-Fi at the event. And so everybody bought hotspots. And then they all clogged the space right in front of the stage where Steve was trying to do a demo. And he yelled at everybody to turn them off, which, by the way, I sat on mine, but I did not turn it off. Because, like, you're not the boss of me. You're going to tell me what to do. But I will say, the next event and every subsequent Apple event forever, there was good Wi-Fi. Because they realized that it was their fault that it happened that way. But isn't that bizarre? They're like, no. You and your audience want to report live about all of Apple's product announcements? Please do not. What?
How dare you?
What? What? I don't know. So anyway, this is not quite that, but it's a very similar kind of thing. I think Gizmodo, I don't know. I think that they did good reporting, and then they were also jerks about it. I think both of those things are true. I think they got real defensive, and I think they wanted to. Honestly, that culture of Gizmodo is very, very tabloidy organization in general. Its whole culture, and so I think they realized it was great publicity for them to be in a spat with Apple. I think that, and even if the secret task force was called, like, I feel like individuals in that organization were probably terrified, but I think the organization as a whole loved the fact that they were getting all this press.
I mean, can't get a better scoop than that, right? Like, you can't. If you are in the game of we will report rumors, right? Like, getting the
and it's not even coming from an Apple employee, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just found in a bar, so you don't even have to be accused of, like, ruining somebody's life or inducing them into breaking their NDA. It's like literally it just got left out.
Because I think the story goes there were a few publications that got the emails and, like, with some photos, but Gizmodo were the ones that were willing to pay, and so they did. And then, I'm happy they did, because then we have this great thing to remember.
Sure.
And obviously, Silicon Valley Police. This episode is brought to you by Ecamm. Ecamm Live is the leading video production and live streaming studio built for the Mac. Ecamm does all aspects of video, not just live streaming. It's perfect for simplifying your workflow. It's easy enough to get started quickly, but powerful enough that you can create just about anything with video. You can do it all with the Ecamm app. Whether you're streaming, recording, podcasting, presenting, anything and everything is right there for you in Ecamm, including support for multiple cameras and screen sharing, and a live camera switcher that lets you direct the show in real time. You can stand out from the crowd with high-quality video. You can add logos, titles, lower thirds, and graphics, share your screen, drop in video clips, bring in interview guests, use a green screen, and so much more. Ecamm Live does it all. I've used Ecamm Live a bunch, and what I love about it is, well, one, how great it works on the Mac, but two, that it works like a Mac app. Like, there are a bunch of options available for live streaming. Most of them don't work very good on the Mac, but not only does Ecamm Live work fantastically, it works the way my mind works as a Mac user. They have so many features. They keep adding to it over time. It supports all the services that I need and allows me to be able to take advantage of the other tools that my Mac has available, the other apps and stuff I can screen share, the things that I'm used to, things that I know, all in the environment that I'm used to. Super exciting news, Ecamm for Zoom is now available for everyone on their pro level plan, so you can automatically send Ecamm Live's audio and video output into a Zoom meeting, Zoom webinar, or Zoom events. This would be incredibly good for presentations. I bet it'd be good if you have game nights with your friends and stuff. You could probably use Ecamm Live for this really easily. You can add up to 8 Zoom participants as camera sources in your broadcast or recording. Plus, you can automatically create individual participant audio and video recordings. That's good for you podcasters out there, and add Zoom chat messages to your broadcast or recording as text overlays. Ecamm's members are entrepreneurs, marketing professionals, podcasters, educators, musicians, church leaders, bloggers, and content creators of all kinds. Get 1 month free today at ecamm.com/connected using the code connected. That is a whole month free of Ecamm Live at ecamm.com. That is ecamm.com/connected with the code connected. Go there now and check it out. Our thanks to Ecamm for their support of this show and Relay. Federico, you had a desire to talk about peripherals?
Yeah, because I feel like we only talk about the upcoming Macs, if there's going to be or not an October event. these new MacBook Pros, some of which you can buy in Russia. Apparently, if you know where to look, the Mac Mini. I mean, you can literally buy them in Russia. The Mac Mini, but I want to talk about the accessories. I want to talk about the peripherals because I feel like it's now or never, right? We were expecting some new peripherals at the iPad event. They did not come. We were expecting them probably at WWDC. That wasn't the case. They didn't show up in September. Well, now there's probably going to be a whole new lineup of Macs. What better time to close out the year than to finally introduce new peripherals now? And so I thought, let's talk about these accessories and let's share some of our wishes in terms of things we want to see in these new peripherals. And I will go first by mentioning something more broadly speaking that I would love to see here. It's been how many years since the Magic Keyboard was introduced with Touch ID? 3, 4 years?
The quick answer is too many. But
too many?
Let me find that out.
Still Lightning based, obviously. So obviously USB-C is the simplest answer. Like Apple should do USB-C charging for all of these devices. But what I would like to see personally is AirPods-like switching of these peripherals between multiple devices. I think it's wild that if you buy a Magic Keyboard now, you can just use it with one computer at a time. You either pair it with your Mac or you pair it with your iPad. Some people also pair keyboards with their iPhones. Some people are into that.
It's 2021, by the way. That's the answer to when they put that in.
2021, so 3 years. I would love to see, just like Apple doesn't tell me, look, you want to listen to music on multiple devices, go buy 5 pairs of AirPods, right? They say just buy a single set of AirPods and switch between as many devices as you want. I want to buy an Apple keyboard and I want to buy an Apple trackpad and I want to switch between devices just like I do with AirPods. That's my big overall wish for these new peripherals.
But this is what you're not asking for is universal control, right?
Well, I guess you can go about this in 2 ways, right? I would say I'm asking for universal control on the iPad's Magic Keyboard, in the sense that if I'm using the iPad, and we're going to talk about the Vision Pro later, but like I think it's kind of silly that the Magic Keyboard on my iPad cannot control Vision OS. But that's a different conversation. I think the simplest solution for me would be get a new keyboard, get a new trackpad. Now you can switch from Control Center just like you can with AirPods.
It'd be interesting to see how they could work that out, right? Like how would like if you hit the key, where does it go? But there is an element of they made it work with AirPods, right? Like there are ways to make that work, I guess. I would like it. I know I would like it.
Yeah. Well, and it's just so dumb right now. Like I have this where I have a Touch ID, an orange Touch ID keyboard that I bought on eBay because I wanted it in orange. And I use that sometimes at my desk in the back of the house with the laptop attached to an external keyboard or external display. But I also use it with the Vision Pro. And it's so dumb. Like when I get in the Vision Pro and I want to use that thing and like it doesn't want to see it. It doesn't want to connect to it. Sometimes I have to unpair it and then repair it. And I don't even necessarily need, I mean, it would be nice if it really intelligently sensed that I was close to the Vision Pro and it was in use and that was probably the device that I want to connect it to. But there is so much room for improvement in these things when you take them from device to device and they just don't want to let go of the other peripheral. And I wish that was a lot smoother than it is now.
They would never add physical switching, would they? Like a little button that you would press. Like, I mean, that would give us what we wanted, but they would never do that, right? That you'd set a little preset.
I could see them hiding it under the globe key somewhere, globe F8 to toggle, but I don't know. They could.
They did add an over-engineered button to the iPhone. So, I mean, what's the harm in doing the same on
Poor
keyboard?
camera control. I think camera control is getting too much. I
mean, have you used the thing?
Yeah, I use it to zoom.
Let's do keyboard control.
Keyboard control.
God.
I feel bad for camera control.
Colors.
Yeah.
Let me buy an orange keyboard. Let me buy a pink keyboard.
Can you still only?
Yes.
You can't buy them separate? Still,
That's why I used eBay. That's why I have an orange keyboard from eBay.
You better use eBay.
If you use the store, it's only silver. So you have to find somebody who bought an iMac and doesn't want their keyboard and puts it on eBay. That's what you have to do. Yeah. So dumb.
I was talking to a friend. I was at Silvia School, and in the office they have a MacBook Pro docked at a desk, connected to a studio display, which I sold them, by the way. That's my old Apple Studio display. And the person using the computer uses a Magic Mouse. And he's really into the Magic Mouse, which I don't understand because the thing is so small, gives me instant wrist pain. But looking at it when it was charging, it reminded me just how silly that thing is when you need to charge it. So let alone, the fact that it also needs USB-C. Please give it a new charging placement.
MagSafe. Put MagSafe on the mouse.
Put MagSafe on the mouse. Mag mouse, call it whatever. Yes. Or at the very least, put the port on the front and let people use the mouse while it is charging. Instead of, you got to put it on the side.
Right.
And it's kind of silly. Just let me use it when it's plugged in. Or MagSafe, like Myke said.
There's a lot they could do with that mouse, though. Like there is a lot they could do if they actually want to make a mouse. But although I would just say honestly, they shouldn't make a mouse anymore. Like Apple should just get rid of the Magic Mouse and just make a trackpad. Like and anybody that wants a mouse, just go to Logitech or Razer.
That's a take.
No, but the Apple does not need to make a mouse. Like they clearly don't want to, right? But like they do. And they are so in on trackpads now. Like they do so much great stuff with their trackpads. Just let the mouse go and make partnerships, right? Like do the thing where you get Logitech to make a mouse for you. Belkin to make a mouse for you. And just stop making a mouse. Because
Belkin is gonna make a mouse and it's gonna call it Boost Charge Pro mouse. They're going to do it.
And let them, because Apple, you've lost your mouse making card. Like, you're not allowed anymore. You've made a bunch of bad mice. This current ones are terrible. You've left it this way forever. Let's just get rid of it. I will just throw out, if mentioning trackpads, I want them to put Touch ID in the trackpad. I still want that. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Put that in the trackpad.
Like under the trackpad?
Just put it in the corner, like a little button. Right, like
whatever.
Just have it look like the little button or a little spot. I mean, it's all glass, right? So you could just put the sensor on, flush with the glass of the trackpad, like top right hand corner or something.
Yeah, no, I would love that. As somebody, Myke, you and I are both thinking, I'm never going to use an Apple keyboard, but I really want the Touch ID button, and I do use the Magic Trackpad, so it would be really nice if they did the Magic Trackpad there. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of the Magic Mouse, by the way.
Why?
For a couple reasons. One is because they bundle it with the iMac, and there are people who like a mouse. And also, I think it's cheaper than the trackpad, and they can't not... Unless they ship the iMac with literally no input devices, and I don't think they want to do that, they're going to want to ship it with input devices. And I honestly think the mouse is cheaper, so... It's better to ship it with the mouse.
Oh yeah, man! You have to pay $50 more to get the Magic Trackpad.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Then,
the mouse,
if you're gonna force this mouse on people, make it better.
Make it better.
Make it better.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
You haven't mentioned. Patently, Apple wrote a story like a million years ago about a patent to use the keyboard, the surface of keys as a trackpad. And I thought that would be amazing, right? The idea that you have that relatively flat Apple keyboard, and then you just move your fingers across it, and it moves the cursor.
Didn't we see like a couple of months ago a Kickstarter from a Chinese company that wants to do this?
Yes.
Well, they better check with Apple's patent then.
And nobody kind of believed them. I'm like, well, let me rephrase. None of us backed it, and that's despite the fact that we tend, the three of us, and also OTJ, like we tend to back a lot of Kickstarters despite our better judgment. But we didn't back that one because it seemed...
I found it.
Okay.
The Mokibo Folio.
Did it go anywhere? Are they making it?
They have, as of March 28th, 2023, it looked like, let me see, where are we have updates?
The Mokibo Folio.
Apparently in
they've
May
gotten
of
everybody's
2014, they're shipping out. It says they're shipping out, apparently.
Okay.
I'm going to check the comments. There are 2,800 comments, which is not a good sign. Yeah, lots of people who've never received their keyboard here in the comments.
Okay. There you go.
I don't know if anybody ever has received them because it's just full of people not receiving anything, which is the way to go. So even though they're saying they're shipping, it doesn't seem like they may yet be.
Apple's got the patent. I mean, this goes with when we're talking about Vision Pro and finding all those like plastic cases that let you stick a trackpad and a keyboard together, which is a thing they could do. They could sell a combo, right? Which is just like the keyboard and the track and a Magic Trackpad in one unit, which maybe they could even get the price down on what they're doing and put that in with the iMac and get rid of the mouse. I don't know, but it's a possibility. And then that would be great for Vision Pro too, because you'd have the pointer attached to the keyboard. So, stuff like that is good, but the trackpad surface, which is a wild idea, but the idea that you could use it as a fairly basic pointer just by skimming your fingers across, maybe multi-fingers across the keyboard and use it as a trackpad. It's an interesting idea. I would also throw out as my keyboard wishes, programmable keycaps. I'm not necessarily saying the Stream Deck, but like I know that people have tried. You could have like keys that have a color under them that is changeable, or you could have a screen under the top level. That's what the touch bar should have been. Is something like that where it's physical keys, but you can customize them. And I know that they've also done. People have done e-ink keycaps where the keycaps label is changeable. And I don't know. I think that would be kind of fun because I love my Stream Deck, but I think there's value in having a physical key that can be labeled whatever you want it to be. I don't think Apple will do it, but we're getting wild here. I'll throw it out there.
I've got to give some important updates. The Mokibo Fusion keyboard. Mokibo. They have a website. They're shipping them. That I'm finding videos on YouTube. Like it's a thing that exists. They have a new version apparently. I don't understand what's happening over there on Kickstarter, but like
Apple should check this out. Because
Federico should check this out.
Infringe with their patent.
You can just buy it on their website now, Federico.
I'm gonna buy one, and Apple's gonna sue me for whatever reason.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sending you the link. You can buy it.
Thank you.
Just put it on your Favy bar. Put Mokibo on your Favy bar.
You put Mokibo on the Favy bar. It looks like it works, and everyone's happy about it. Is
Mokibo? Does it stand for more keyboard? Is that the pun they're going for?
Mokibo, mo problems.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how that goes. I wanted to ask, are there any other peripherals that we think Apple should make outside of this? And I will begin the bidding with a webcam with Face ID in it.
That's a
like an external one. They make a webcam, so forget about the bad webcams, with a Face ID sensor.
A 4K, good with center stage, high quality webcam that also has Face ID sensors. So if you really care, you can put it at the top of your display and get Face ID on an external display. Yep. Yes.
That'd be sweet.
I still kind of wish, like the thing that you guys have done, like taking apart a Magic Keyboard and making a standalone Touch ID button out of it. I still think that should be an actual product from Apple, even though they're never gonna do it. Like let me buy the Touch ID button. Let me place it anywhere. I don't know. It could double. As a HomeKit accessory of sorts. Like it authenticates into your Mac, and it's also something that you can click if you want to do something. I don't know. It could be fun. The problem is, I would love Apple to sort of take the Nintendo approach. Not to go back to the Pro show, but like Nintendo is a giant company, and they're still weird enough to make these crazy accessories like an alarm clock. The problem, I think, is that Apple is too big and too self-conscious to get weird in that sort of sense. Like, I don't know. I would love Apple to say, we made you a button. Now you can buy the Touch ID button. We made you a weird keyboard that you can use with the iPad and the Vision Pro. Like, these sort of like cheaper, strange, unexpected Apple accessories. And the problem is that I think they are too self-aware and too big and too scared to concern their investors to come up with these products, because every single I feel like they think that every single product they make has to be a hit, has to be world changing, whereas I would like them to do the weird niche accessories and peripherals, and they're not making them. That's the problem.
I do hope that their home products might, these rumored home products.
I really hope that,
especially the robot one that they're working on, the one with the big robot arm. I think that's going to be a big...
As we established, Jason loves the fact that it's a robot.
Robot. Yeah. It is. It's not a robot arm, Myke. It's a robot. It's literally a robot.
It's a robotic limb. Robotic limb.
It stands. No, it's a robot. It stands on your countertop. And wherever you are, it walks over there, steps on your plates, kicks your glasses off, and just follows you around your kitchen, playing music at you, or maybe an Apple TV show on its screen.
I was very excited a couple of days ago when, I don't know, the Echo was alerting everyone in the household that a package was coming. And I went and just pressed a button to get rid of it, because it's also like my wife's birthday's coming up and I'm ordering decorations, and I don't want her to see what they are. And I know you can change settings on the Echo, but whatever. And when I was doing it, Adina turned to me and she said, "When are we going to get an Apple one of those?" And I was like, yes. So like she's ready now. Like she's also had enough of the Amazon Echo and the many ways in which it tries to sell you things. So now, Apple, whenever you're ready, I will definitely be buying at least one of these screen things because I want it big time. Please just let me get rid of this Echo.
The Google one is better because I dumped my Echo and got a Google one. The problem with it's better in that it is not as annoying in terms of trying to sell you things, because all Amazon wants to do is you're a customer in good standing with Amazon. You buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. It doesn't matter. It's going to, by the way, I want to sell you more things, and it just won't stop. And even if you turn all the settings on, what happens is they push new settings that are on by default. And so you're constantly fighting a battle with Amazon. So I got a Google Nest Home Mini, whatever. I don't know. It's got lots of different names that they keep attaching to their products because Google doesn't know what it's doing. And, it's a lot less annoying. The screensaver with the photos that are in a Google Photos album is really nice. There's a lot of things about it that I like. The bad thing is that the hardware is all old and slow and bad. Like even when I bought mine, it had been out for more than a year, and I read the Verge article and they said, this is a great product, except it's too slow. And they were right. And they haven't updated it since then. There's a big one and a little one, but they're both incredibly slow. And so, yeah, I am better with it than I was with the Amazon one because it's not actively annoying. Although one of my favorite features of it is it's got a sensor in it, a camera and like a sensor. And when we use it for alarms in the kitchen, right? It's like set an alarm, a chicken alarm, a chicken timer for 20 minutes, right?
Alarm. The chicken's here.
Okay. Federico will like this. If you do pasta, you say set a pasta timer for 11 minutes. It goes do 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 do. It does a little Italian thingy. And with the chicken, it goes.
I love the cultural appropriation, but it's great. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh no,
it's a timer for
a little
pasta.
problematic. It's a me. So it plays little sound effects, but when it's done, it starts making this chime, and you got to turn the chime off. And there's 3 ways you can turn the chime off. You can reach over to the thing with your dirty hands and touch the X, and it stops it. Or you can say to Google, stop it, and it'll stop it, usually if it hears you. But the promise of this thing is the sensor. You can take your hand, and it's like talk to the hand, and you can just wave your hand in the air in the direction of the Google Home thing, and it'll stop. And it works sometimes, but it means that you're standing in your kitchen like an idiot waving at a little box, and it makes me feel stupid every time. But when it works the first time, I feel like a magician, It's just that it doesn't usually work the first time. Anyway, please, yes, I would love an Apple thing here instead. I would really appreciate that. And I'm sure Apple will not have hilarious Italian sounds when you're making pasta.
It's a time for your pasta.
It is.
Maybe Nintendo should make one.
It's sort of an alarmo for the home, for the kitchen alarmo.
Speaking of like, it isn't really speaking of anything, but Federico, I tried to do it and I couldn't get there.
Okay.
I saw on Threads that you got a Nomad watch band.
Right.
And I was intrigued about what you think of this. I think I mentioned this on the show before that like I've always been hesitant of third-party watch bands that like they're not going to attach right, and so like I wanted to know what you thought.
No, you can ignore those concerns. It attaches perfectly. It looks like a regular Apple Watch band. This is my second Nomad watch band. I had one of their light gray, kind of similar rugged sport one that I got a couple of years ago. And to match my iPhone 16 Plus, I got the, what do they call it? Blorple. It's like a blue, purple-ish one in collaboration with The Verge. And it's perfect. I'm using it with the Apple Watch Ultra. And it matches quite nicely the ultramarine of the 16 Plus. But no, it just it's got the same lugs. It's got the same attachment of a regular watch band. You can get different sizes from the Nomad website. Really fast shipping. I got it in like 3 days. You should get like there are questionable options on Amazon from like these no brand companies. I remember one time my mom got one from Amazon that promised to be an equivalent to Apple's €50 silicone band, but it cost like €5. And so obviously my mom was intrigued and it gave her a rash immediately. So probably try and buy from big brands.
Yeah.
Like Nomad instead of like the €5 band on Amazon. But otherwise, I mean, it's even the Chinese knockoff that my mom got, it did attach correctly.
Sure.
But obviously the material was a bit problematic. So
I love The Verge. I read The Verge every day. I listen to the Vergecast. I'm a big Verge fan. There is something funny though to me about having the Verge logo on a watch band like that I would wear every day. I'm not sure exactly why I find that to be like a funny thing, but that is like a funny thing to me.
Oh, there is a Verge logo underneath. Yeah.
He didn't even know. It's on the inside though, which is good at least.
This is going to be great. Get ready for it. Hold on to your hats. It's Teachy Bands. And it's the bands of 6 or 7 website logos.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah. The Verge will be there, obviously, but like there'll be others too. Teachy Bands.
Oh my god.
Nomad, call us.
Nomad, yeah, like seriously though, Nomad, call us. I would do a watch band connected or a Teachy tab, a Teachy band, Teachy band. I don't know why it's funny, but it is just funny to me. I don't know why, but like there's Federico wears a watch band that has the Verge logo on it. It's nice and hidden.
Man, look, I love The Verge. Okay, it's a good website.
It's a great website. It would be one of my 6 or 7. I'll tell you that. It would be.
Many times I disagree with them, but like I appreciate disagreeing with someone rather than ignoring someone. You know, that's much worse. So,
What do you mean?
Well,
are you being spicy right now? I'm not sure. Do I want to know?
Yes, I was.
Okay, maybe I
was.
shouldn't ask.
Yes.
Maybe
I prefer to read and disagree with the website than to not read the website at all. Okay.
I like that. That's good. I think I might be over my desire for the Apple Watch Series 10.
Ooh.
Good for you. I agree.
I think I'm gonna wait. I still me and Nadina have yet to go into a store because she wants an upgrade and her watch is a couple of years old now, and so I think she loves her Apple Watch, so I'm very happy to upgrade it for her. And I still love the look of the Series 10, but I don't want to lose my battery life yet. I'm struggling. Who knows? I might go into the store, try it on, and that's the end of me. But I don't know what to... I'm really torn on it because I still stand by the idea that like like what is going to happen to the Apple Watch Ultra? Like, how often is it going to get updated? How behind is it going to be? Like, but maybe I just need to wait for that to happen.
You'll worry about You'll worry about it when it happens.
When I need to worry about it, rather than trying to make myself worry about it now.
Yeah, you don't have a problem now.
No, I don't.
Keep the Ultra. Yeah.
I think you might be right. I did see, though, I know that you were having battery life concerns, Federico. Did you see that 0.1 had reference to a battery drain?
Oh, no, I didn't. Thank you. Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah, WatchOS, what is it, 11.0.1? It references in the release notes that like there was a battery drain issue on 18.0.
Okay, I'll make sure. Have I updated? Okay, it's up to date. Oh yeah, I guess I did it a couple of nights ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool, awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, my Ultra One is a 90%, which is not great. I mean, it's lost 10%.
Battery health.
Yeah. So it's getting worse, but it's still so much better than the Series 10. So I keep it, and I really hope that I can keep it at least until next September, like for another year.
I'm sure.
And see what happens.
I mean, the battery's so good. Even like a 50% battery life on this watch would be
probably right.
A regular one.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Jason, are you enjoying your Series 10?
I am. It's great. I had a 7, right? I had a 7 black titanium, and now I have a 10 black aluminum, a little shiny black. And loving the bigger screen. Nice to have a refreshed battery after 3 years too. The speaker is interesting, but I found a weird quirk, and this might be a bug. I wonder if it's going to be fixed in the next version. But okay, Apple wants you to sleep with your Apple Watch, right? And I have resisted. I have resisted. I use it. I had the little thing that Federico wrote about that time. That's the little thing that looks like a snow globe, and you slide your Apple Watch in and it, like, magnifies it and charges it. Do you remember that, Federico? I'm reminding you of so many things that you never remember that you wrote about.
No.
It was an Apple Watch accessory that was like plastic, clear plastic, but curved.
Night watch.
And there was that's it. And so you put the charging puck in the back and you slide it in, and then it charges overnight, but it also kind of magnifies the nightstand mode.
Oh my God, that was years ago.
Yeah, and I bought one. And I've been using it. But two things. One, very sad news. The new Apple Watch has changed enough in shape that it doesn't charge reliably anymore.
Okay.
But two, Apple wants me to sleep with my watch on, which I've never done, because they've got vitals and they got sleep apnea detection. It's like, okay, Apple. So I'm committed to doing it. I moved the night watch away. I just have a regular charging puck now, and I try to do it when I'm in the shower or when it yells at me in the middle of the day that it's about to run out of battery. And I'm trying to do that. So it's just, I don't know. It's weird to do it that way. But since I'm doing that, and I have the sleep feature, sleep really, really, really wants you to set a wake up time, right? They want you to have a wake up time with and it has an alarm. And I've never done that. I get the tap. I've always gotten the tap at night that says like you should wind down and go to bed. And it's like, that's fine. I don't mind. It's a little naggy, but I kind of don't mind it. But I never use the alarm in the morning because, first off, I work at home and Lauren's got an alarm set, but I don't need to get up at the same time and all of that. But I'm embracing the sleep the Apple way, the Apple sleep lifestyle, right? So this is what I did: is I set it for 7 a.m. And I've worn my watch where alarms have gone off before, and they tap your wrist, and it's kind of subtle. And what I found with the Series 10 on the 0.0 release of WatchOS, when that alarm goes off, there's a setting that says don't make noise. Like my watch is in silent mode. I never want my Apple Watch to make noise. That alarm goes off and it plays music. It taps my wrist, but it also plays music. And I don't want that. I do not want noise.
It is possible to have Apple's system have no alarm, because I have this.
I know. I feel like there's some advantage to having it know when you wake up in terms of the sleep tracking features and all of that. I think there's an advantage to it. I just thought I would try this, but it's like a feature of the Apple Watch speaker that I do not want. I've occasionally been somewhere where I didn't have headphones and I'm like in the kitchen waiting for the toast to pop or something, and I can listen to a podcast on my Apple Watch. That's fun. That's interesting. But I really don't want that alarm making any noise. And even though there's a setting to say don't make noise, it still plays its little thing to wake me up in the morning. And I don't want that. I just want the tap on the wrist. That's all I want.
Nobody wants that. This episode is brought to you by Celtrios, the shoot 'em up game with a tiny ship, big weapons, waves of foes, power-ups, and obstacles. Celtrios has no ads, no in-app purchases, no subscription, and nothing is locked. It's available for Apple platforms. You can get it on your Mac, your iPhone, your iPad, and yes, your Apple TV. There are 13 stages of the game that you can start, and you can start any of them. I love that about the game. You can just go in and just choose any levels. Maybe you have a favorite level, you want to come back to it, and you can resume play later if the app is quit, of course. There's a lot to love about Celtrios. You have a ton of ways to play with customization to keep the game feeling fresh, like ship configuration, dozens of abilities. You can have a bunch of options for playing it on your Mac in full screen. There's a randomizing mode and a hard mode too. Plus, there's a huge, high-quality soundtrack of over 45 minutes of music, and the game keeps expanding. There have been over 85 free updates to Celtrios so far, and the entire thing was made by an independent developer. You can play solo or grab a friend for two-player. Your Mac can support various inputs, so you can grab a controller if you're on iOS. If you love traditional shoot-em-ups, or you just want a quality game that is fun to play time and time again with none of the usual annoyances that you may be used to seeing in other games, Celtrios is for you. The Mac version is on Steam with a free demo, and the iOS and tvOS versions are available on the App Store. Go to kevingrant.name/apps to learn more today, or you can click the link in the show notes. That's how you know it's from an independent developer. Their website is their name, and you can let them know that you came to the game from this show. That is kevingrant.name/apps, or just go click the link in the show notes. Our thanks to Celtrios for their support of this show and Relay. So finishing up today, Federico put a note in the show notes that said Vision Pro check-in. So I'm going to assume that you have somewhere you want to begin with this, Federico?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to begin by saying that I've been recording the entire episode while wearing my Vision Pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't even sound like your nose is blocked, so that's good.
No. I mean, so I've been using, I'm using the iPad, connected to the Mix Pre, as I've been recording all my shows for the past 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been using screen mirroring to see the iPad's display in front of me. So I turned down the brightness of the iPad's physical display, and I screen mirrored to the Vision Pro, and I made the iPad screen giant in front of me. And then I also opened a bunch of Vision OS windows. Like I got Discord in compatibility mode on the left, I got messages on the right, Safari on the top. And so that was my teeny tiny surprise for today. I guess in general, I think over the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking about the Vision Pro a lot because this thing has been sitting in a drawer for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I basically stopped paying attention in May when I got the new iPad Pros. And then WWDC happened, and then it was the summer, and I was going to the beach. And when I was not at the beach, I needed to work on the iOS and iPadOS 18 review. And so I didn't really have time or the energy to think about the Vision Pro. But I still felt bad about the fact that it was sitting unused because I still do think that there's so much potential in this platform. And I mean, every time I use it, here's my thing. Every time I use it, it brings me a little bit of joy.
Yes.
Like right now, for example, the fact that I'm recording with all these windows around me, it is kind of wild. At the same time, it really bums me out that the Vision OS App Store is a little bit of a ghost town.
Yeah.
And it also bums me out that while Apple has been working on these new immersive video efforts, they've been working to expanding the list of compatible countries, the peripheral story, which is why I also brought that topic to the show today, like the accessory story is just not there. And I'm really conflicted, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But over the past couple of weeks, I think I've come to a realization, which is what I also posted on Threads, that I think I've accepted that right now, the Vision Pro cannot be what I was hoping it would be last year. it cannot be my full-time computer. It cannot be what replaces my iPad. And I think I'm fine with the thought for now of the Vision Pro being what I use at night most of the time to watch movies, catch up on my YouTube queue, read some articles in good links, basically watching Apple TV Plus content, that sort of stuff, being my media consumption device. And occasionally during the day, when I feel like it, I can screen mirror my iPad, which is the only option as an iPad user that I have. In absence of iPad Virtual Display, I can screen mirror, which is not as good as Mac Virtual Display, but it's good enough. And I think I've accepted this reality that I'm fine with using the Vision Pro as a media device, with an expensive media device, like a really expensive media device, but it does bring me that joy. It does feel awesome when I use it. That said, I would use it a whole lot more if the iPad was a first-class citizen in Vision OS like Mac OS is.
Can you explain to me how the screen mirroring works?
It's AirPlay. You're basically AirPlaying to the Vision Pro. Just like you can AirPlay the iPad screen to an Apple TV or something, you can AirPlay to a Vision Pro, which means you do get a bit of latency. Like right now, for example, I can physically look in front of me and I can see like half a second of a delay.
But like you're touching the screen though, right? Like of your...
No, I'm using the Magic Keyboard. The iPad is in the Magic Keyboard. Yeah. But when I scroll, I can see that there's a tiny bit of delay between what I see on the iPad's physical screen and what I see on the mirrored window in Vision OS. But it's good enough, I have written articles this way. I have gotten some work done this way. And it does feel nice to surround yourself with windows and doing the things that Vision OS does. But still, at the same time, I'm conflicted because the third-party app story just isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
It kind of dried up after the initial rollout of developers who really wanted to be on board on the Vision OS App Store. It's still not officially available in Italy, which means I still gotta hold on to that fake US Apple ID that I've been trying to move away from. But I gotta keep using it because the Vision Pro is not in Italy. And so, yeah, I kind of wanted to check in with you guys and see how you're using it.
I have found a few uses for it. I agree with you that the lack of the native apps is brutal, and iPad apps are a fallback. But like, I'll give you an example. I use OneWriter to write on my iPad Pro. Really nice customizable text editor. I've got it wired into shortcuts to post my stories directive into my CMS. And like, I've settled on OneWriter. It's good. It's my text editor. It's, BB Edit on the Mac, OneWriter on the iPad. And I can run OneWriter on Vision OS, but it's in iPad compatibility mode, and it's just not as good. And so I end up using Runestone by Simon Storving, which is good and a native app. It isn't as full-featured as OneWriter is at all, but it doesn't matter because it's a native Vision OS app, and that means it's better. It's clearer. The text is crisper. You can resize it, and it's not pretending that it's inside an iPad shape. And so that it is frustrating that there aren't more of those. But I also don't blame developers for it, because I know that there's nobody out there using Vision Pro right now. And so you either have to sort of do it because it's a challenge and interesting to you personally, but not for financial gain, or because you think that maybe this will lead you somewhere eventually with Apple, which makes me come back to the fact that I feel like Apple needs to show more commitment to this platform.
Yeah.
It's really committed to it. And they can do that in a bunch of different ways. The content, yes, the immersive content's amazing, and even 3D movies are great. I don't watch them a lot because I usually want to watch that stuff with Lauren. And so, we're going to watch it on TV on our couch. But occasionally I'll do it. And when I was in Memphis, I watched a college football game on a gigantic screen in my hotel room. And that was kind of fun to do. But I know their short film is coming out. Their first scripted short film is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's something, but it's been really slow going, and a lot of things that we think might be great potential for this thing, there's no content for it. They've been very limited with what they do there. And then on the developer side, that's what I feel too, is like, Apple needs to give developers reasons to build these apps. And I know that they're doing something. There's something in the show notes here.
Yeah.
There's a piece about how Apple did a presentation at Apple Park for Vision Pro developers. And it's like, that's good. More of that. Maybe like identify key developers who are laggards on the platform and come to them and say, how can we help? Can we get you hardware? Like, I would literally identify the top 50 iOS developers in categories that matter that would be good on Vision OS. I would just target them and get them hardware and say, please work with us on this, right? Like, and maybe they're doing it and there's no result, but I don't know. It sounds like they're not doing as much as they should be doing to get the developers to make apps for this thing.
Yeah, that event, developer Todd Heberlein did a little blog post about it with some photos. They had what was essentially like a one-day WWDC kind of thing. Real presenters on stage, actually doing presenting, doing code. Like it would look kind of nice, really, to be honest. And they're also doing a bunch more events around the world. I don't think they're to this level. I'm not sure if this one was like people were invited or you could apply to go. But that kind of you're right. This is the kind of stuff they need to do. Saying about like the big developers. I don't know if you saw Juno, the YouTube app has been kicked off the store.
Yeah,
that's because YouTube are making an app that's coming out next year.
That's it. Why would Apple just let it go and take YouTube's word for it? It's because Apple and YouTube clearly already have a deal to bring the YouTube app and to Vision OS. So they're like, let's just let this thing go away. But it's a shame because that's one of the best Vision OS apps that exists.
Yeah, the app still exists. So it won't be updated anymore. It's not
I still got it
anymore.
But if you don't have it, you can't get it now.
No, but that's why they're doing that, because they're finally getting Google to release some apps,
which is good. I mean, this is the thing. Is look, when and you guys talked about this, and thank you for referencing the upgrade conversation about it too. The Meta Orion and not even an announcement, showing off the prototype, which shifted the game, and I think it was really smart for Meta, and we all talked about that last time. The thing, like Apple doesn't have to do everything right now, but it needs to show commitment to where it's going. It doesn't need to reveal that it's also dreaming of an AR future. I think the reason the pass-through is such a focus on Vision Pro is because it really is just kind of like an AR glasses developer unit. It really is just kind of like, we want you to think in terms of augmented reality, not virtual reality for it. Like that's all fine, but they need to show that commitment. They need to they can't do what Meta's done, but I need to see signs of life for them that this really does matter. And I know that it's not their language to do prototypes. So whatever Apple's love language is, they need to speak it about the Vision Pro so that everybody and make an effort. Even if, they've said, Tim Cook has said AR is more interesting than VR and that it's a place of interest and all of those things. But like, I'd really like them to say, look, this is a long-term commitment for us. It doesn't matter that the current Vision Pro is just the start of the process. They've said some of that, but like their actions speak louder than those words. And I just want to see them say there are lots of reasons that people should be developing software for this, because this is going someplace. And the lack of shipping content for the platform is one of those things that really gives me pause, right? Because then the conversation is not, the Vision Pro isn't a hit, because it was never going to be a hit. The conversation is, does Apple care about the Vision Pro? And that's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw this in the notes, I was thinking a bit about the Vision Pro. And like one of the, yesterday I had a call, a few friends, Jason was on the call. We sometimes hang out in Vision Pro just so we can use the spatial personas, which I think is the absolute very best feature of the Vision Pro. And the thing that I was struck by is that like the Vision Pro is like the coolest computer that I own. And by a mile, like using that thing is unbelievable. Like still yesterday I put it on and I'm using it and I'm flipping around some maps and like, this is absolutely the future of computing and I already own it. I just wish I had more to do on it. And like I can and have find things to do, right? So like I want to use it more, I'll find things to do, kind of like what Federico's doing right now, right? Like I will find something to do because I want to use this, but like Apple has to meet us a little closer, right? And I do believe they will. Like, I do not believe that they would just release this thing and then they'll allow it to go nowhere. But they're just being slow with it, and I think that's okay. But WWDC next year, I want to see Vision OS 3, and it has a bunch of cool stuff in it, right? Like, I want them to keep pushing it. Like, I'm not of the camp of which there are a lot of people who are just saying it's dead. Like, I don't believe that to be the case at all. I just think that there are a lot of factors for this device that limit it, like the price, the availability of it, like the interest of developers. It is limited, but it doesn't have to be that way forever.
Yeah. And I feel like because of these problems, now it's the time to be humble, reach out to developers, like Jason said, expand the options in terms of accessories, expand the options in terms of countries. Like, taking your foot off the gas now is the mistake that Apple can make with this platform. And so, I wanted to mention 3 things that I'm enjoying with the Vision Pro. One is an accessory that I think you guys may like.
I've already ordered it because I saw it in the notes and I ordered it already.
So this is the Spigen head strap. It's basically a top strap for the Vision Pro that allows you to have the same setup that we had last year with the private demo at WWDC.
Yep.
You're using the Solo knit band in the back, but you have a head strap at the top. And I've been using the Solo Top setup forever. The Solo Top is this system to have 2 Solo knit bands, Solo knit straps, whatever they're called. But this one is much less bulky and much more comfortable because you only need to worry about adjusting the band with the dial that sits in the back of your head. The one at the top you can just set to a position that feels right to you, and you don't need to worry about it anymore. It's perfect. I got it from Amazon.
Yeah, I have high hopes for this because the Solo Top did not work for me. Like, it didn't feel very comfortable, and also my eye tracking wasn't as good.
I think you're gonna like this.
Okay.
I think you're gonna like this. I also want to mention I've still been alternating between using the Vision Pro as a VR headset with the light seal versus using it with an open system. Yeah, I read about the open system a few months ago. If you're interested, the company that made the Air cover, they're called Infinity One 3D. They make a bunch of accessories for various VR headsets. The Air cover lets you use the Vision Pro as almost an AR headset without the light seal. It's very comfortable, quite cheap. They have a version 2 that is very similar to the original one. Maybe the printing material is a little bit nicer on the version 2, but this is the one that I've been using, sort of switching back and forth between this one and the light seal for when I really want to be immersed.
There's something about this, like whenever I see the pictures of this, where I'm just like convinced that you're just like burning your eyes. Like, I don't know why. Whenever I see pictures of it, I'm like, oh God, it looks so bad.
And I gotta say, it does look bad, but I gotta say that it does help a lot in terms of like getting rid of the tunnel effect when you're looking into the Vision Pro, right? With the light seal. Vision OS 2 is much better than Vision OS 1 at not bothering you so much with alerts like, oh, you're too close to the displays. Like with Vision OS 2, the system tells you once and then kind of forgets about it. Whereas in Vision OS 1, it would be the sort of like Jason Snell alert that comes up every so often. It comes up and it bothers you and it annoys you and it gets in your way. Not so much anymore. Lastly, I want to recommend a Substack newsletter. Last Week in Apple Vision Pro, it's the name. And it's just a very good newsletter that sort of collects a bunch of Vision OS things. It's the closest thing to a blog all about Vision OS that I've found. And they do a really good job sort of collecting all the things that developers come up with, interviews, new demos from YouTube. It's just a weekly collection of Vision OS and Vision Pro related things. And they do a really good job. And
I subscribe to this too.
Yeah, quite nice. Yeah. So that's my 3 things, and yeah.
Myke mentioned our little chats that we try to do. We try to put on the calendar, right? Because that's one of the challenges is people don't have, they're not like, hey, let's just check in with my friend who happens to be wearing Vision Pro right now, which I kind of wish they would like offer some sort of solution for that, where you could like see what ones of your friends like how actually on the Meta Quest, it works that way where you can, it's like a game console. It's like your friend is on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish they would do that. But the spatial personas are so good. And I try to explain it to people, and I think that they all think that I'm crazy. But it's like when we were doing this one this week, it's like we're just around like a campfire or something, and it feels completely different than being on a video call with somebody. Yep. It feels it's not the same as being together in person, but it's much closer to that than it is to be on a FaceTime call. It just, you're not seeing yourself and making sure that you're positioned in the frame, like you're just present in reality, basically virtual reality, and you see people's facial expressions and you hear them, and the position of the audio is perfect. It's so good. Again, nobody's got a Vision Pro, so you got to have those people and you got to make the time, but it's so good. And then I'll throw it out again. I mentioned Runestone earlier. The other thing I use the Vision Pro for is absolutely when I am on a deadline and I just cannot focus, and I need to write something. I will put the Vision Pro on, go into an environment, bring up Runestone, play some music that will help me focus. And I have written many articles in Vision Pro for that reason, that it gives me, I've written about it before. Sometimes I'll go outside in the summertime, or I'll go work at the kitchen countertop, or I'll just try to like change where I am, or back in the day, go to a cafe just to put myself in a different mental space to write. And I found that Vision Pro will let me do that. And then I can go to Joshua Tree as my mental space and write there. And it really does work most of the time.
It's a very good product that is very expensive and requires the effort. But if you're okay with all of that, god damn, it's good. Like it's real good. And again, I know that provided they are willing to commit, it will all continue to get better. I guess the next little while is if they're willing to commit. I think that Meta's probably holding their feet to the fire, and we'll see how Apple responds, if at all. But I think that if it had been taken the back seat, I don't think they can accept that to occur anymore.
Sure hope so.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Connected, but most of all, thank you, Jason, for joining us.
Oh, it was I listen every week, so it was a pleasure to be on and fill in for Stephen this week.
What was today's date, Jason?
It is October the 9th, 2024. Check it out. Accept no substitutes. That big thing that happened later in October 2024, we didn't know about it.
Didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. If you want to find Jason online, you can go to sixcolors.com. He is also the host of Upgrade here on Relay. Well, I'd say co-host. I don't know why I just demote myself like that. Jason is the one and only person worth listening to on Upgrade. You can check him there every Monday.
It's just, you're just being, it's official in your role as Myke Unconnected to sort of accuse yourself from promoting yourself on Upgrade. So.
You can also find Jason on The Incomparable and other shows on Relay too, including Downstream. I always got to call it Download. You'd think I would have gotten that right by now, but I was actually successful that time, so I shouldn't have called attention to it. You can find Jason online. He's at JSnell, JSNELL. Federico is the editor-in-chief of Mac Stories. You can find Federico at macstories.net, and he is also Viticci at macstories.net on Mastodon, Viticci on Threads. I am Myke, IMYKE, and you can find my work here on Relay and at cortexbrand.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors of this week's episode. That is the wonderful people over at NetSuite, Ecamm, and Celtrios. But most of all, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week. Until then, say goodbye, everybody.
Arrivederci.
Later, dude.
Later, dude. Yeah, I love it.